It had been years since his last television performance, and on March 25th, 1983, at the tip of Motown 25 Yesterday, Today, and Forever, Michael Jackson looked different, slimmer, almost fragile. His nose was now streamlined and sculpted, a tribute to a 20th century Michelangelo, his plastic surgeon. The new face had been skillfully enhanced. Almond-shaped eyes, outlined in black and slightly shadowed, high cheekbones emphasized by the mirror's hint of rose lips gloss to a soft sheen. His former afro style had been replaced by soft curls that framed his face. Two wisps upburned his brow. The Jackson 5 reunion went well. By the time they took the stage at the Pasadena Civic Center, the audience had already seen Marvin Gaye, Smokey Robinson, and Mary Wells perform. They erupted in applause at the sight of the reunited brothers. For I Want You Back, Jimmy was back, smiling brightly, and standing right next to Michael in his old position. By the time the Jacksons swung into The Love You Save, and Randy trotted on stage to join them, the crowd, men in tuxedos, women in evening gowns, were standing and applauding. During I'll Be There, when Michael and Jermaine shared the spotlight and microphone, the two seemed choked up. Jermaine's eyes welled with tears. Michael draped an arm over his shoulders of his brother, and the two looked at one another with great warmth. It was an emotion packed, memorable moment. After hugs all around, the other Jacksons left the stage. Then the spotlight found him. It caught the glint of his black sequin jacket with cuffs that matched the silver stricken shirt. The white glitter socks that peeked from beneath the just above the ankle black trousers, the shiny black penny loafers, and of course there was a single left-handed white glove and its hand sewn in white crystals. Michael thanked the audience. He hesitated, speaking hotly. I have to say those were the good old days. All those songs, he said admittedly. Those were magic moments with all my brothers, including Jermaine. Michael began pacing the stage, his hand in his pocket, talking as though he were just voicing some thoughts that happened to pop into his head, as though he were alone, as though the audience was not there. Actually, he was walking to the side of the stage to sneak the fedora onto his hand. But you can see those were the good songs. I like the songs a lot, but especially I like he was center stage by this time, facing the audience. The new songs. The audience knew that it was coming. They began calling out for Billie Jean. As the fun confused guitar riff of Billie Jean began, Michael went into his routine. He was going to be lip syncing and was obvious from the first note, but no one watching cared. As the music pulsated, he jammed a black fedora over his eyes and struck a pose. His right hand on his hat, his left leg bent and posed for action. The stance may have been a tribute to Bob Fosse or Sammy Davis Jr., but Michael imprinted it with his own magic. While most entertainers perform for their audiences, Michael seemed to be performing for himself tonight. Maybe it was catharsis, his way of dealing with his personal pain, exercising the demons in his exorcising the demons in his life, coming to terms with the disappointments of the past as the others around him had celebrated it. He threw the hat so the graceful flourish and the audience went wild. He moved constantly, even when he was standing still, he seemed to be moving. Michael's brothers stood in the wings, their mouths open. His parents, sisters sat in the audience, spellbound. He just stole the show, Joseph exclaimed to Catherine. That boy just stole the show. Barry was also seen standing and applauding one of the biggest fans in the house. Billie Jean is not my lover, Michael was saying, a pained expression playing on his face. It was a deeply personal song about fathers and sons, about denial, entrapment, and hypocrisy, about coming close to the outer edges of madness. The whole of Michael's performance was spellbinding, but during a brief instrumental interlude, he executed a combination of moves that would seal his reputation as a dance legend. He commenced with a series of split-second locking moves and poses before gliding across the stage via his now famous sleek and graceful moonwalk, a very sophisticated glide, heading forward and sliding back at the same time. The moonlight gave way to that equally renowned spin, now refined after years of practice to tornado spin, and then immediately he was up on his toes. Nobody but Michael Jackson would dance like that, and the audience went wild. Michael didn't invent any of these moves. The poses were modified versions of walking, a street dance from the 1970s. The moonwalk was a move TV's Soul Train dancers had discovered almost 3 years earlier. Sammy Davis Jr., James Brown, and Jackie Wilson all used to execute that same spin, and growing up on the toes as a touch Microsoft Register used in its classic films of the 1930s. To combine all those moves from all those eras to take different styles and make them his own, that's Michael Jackson's genius as a dancer and creator. Since he was the child and lead singer of the Jackson 5, Michael had possessed a magical ability to move an audience with his singing and dancing. However, somehow tonight something was different. Tonight his audience was just as exhilarated by the force of his personality as they were by his voice and footwork. Videotapes of Michael's performance do not begin to capture the phenomenon his act generated that evening. The few minutes Michael spent on stage alone at the Pasadena Civic Center would add up to the perfect performance of his career. After this evening, his life, both personally and professionally, will never again be the same. When it was over, Michael appeared surprised. He took one more step before he realized that the magic had stopped, or perhaps it was just his own momentum carrying him. A standing ovation rocked the hall. Michael bowed, then straightened and raised his arm. His dull eyes looked straight ahead, his body motionless. He didn't smile or acknowledge the moment, which of course was part of the act. He later remembered that he was disappointed in the performance. He had planned to execute a spin and stop on his toes suspended. The spin worked, but he didn't stay on his toes as long as he had planned to when he rehearsed in the privacy of his kitchen. Always the perfectionist, he wished he could do it over again. And if this had been a video, not television, he could have. It wasn't such a hot performance, he will remember thinking to himself, despite the crowd's approval. Backstage, his brothers awaited him, all five Jackie, Tio, Jermaine, Marlon, and Randy, embraced him as he exited the stage. What a job, Mike! Jackie exclaimed. I've never seen anything like that, Jermaine added. They're all talking at once. They had no idea that Michael was going to do during his solo spot. He had to decide not to tell them. Jermaine kissed him on the cheek, then Jackie, then the others. It was an unusual display. The brothers, following Joseph's example, were usually not affectionate or effusive with one another. However, Michael had shown them that he was capable of. They respected him for it and couldn't contain themselves. Maybe it really was a good performance after all. However, it wasn't long before the moment was shattered. The brothers were soon talking about what Michael's word might mean for them. The possibility of taking the group back out on the road and making more money than ever before. The Jackson Five were back, Jackie kept repeating, and the others agreed enthusiastically. This is going to be great. Michael didn't want any part of the idea. He turned and began walking away from them. Hey man, we're family, one of his brothers reminded him. Michael, an insecurable expression on his face, just shook his head and kept walking. As Michael continued down the hall, a young boy in a tuxedo followed him. Hey Michael, the youngster called out. Wait up. Michael stopped. Man, whoever taught you to dance like that? The kid looked up as out with adoring eyes. Practice, I guess, Michael said. You were amazing, the fan told him. Thanks, I needed that, Michael responded. The youngster took the turn and walked away. Michael nodded to himself as he walked down the hall alone. He began to smile. Now he felt good.